It's over here, and as you can see, I'm in the shadows.
Don't be in the shadows, sis.
I'm in the shadow. I mean, you know, the melanin still be popping, but I'm gonna put it in front of me.
The
Okay.
melanin glows even in the dark. Okay.
Even in the dark,
Even
honey.
in the dark, honey.
Even in the
Yes.
dark.
I just needed to push that live button so that we ain't gonna
Okay,
see
there we
me.
are.
And
We got
time. I think we live. Let me double
We
check.
are. Hey y'all.
Hello. Come on in the room.
Come on.
But I am super ready to have this conversation because I feel like it's so many levels.
But it's such a necessary conversation, though.
It is. And my hope is also
for women and for men.
Both. Because I want to get a man's perspective on it too. Because at one point I really, hey Monique, hello, welcome, girl. I feel like we be yelling at each other about once for the same thing, but there's this huge disconnect. Like we be both saying the same stuff, but you know, women are tired of going through certain things and dealing with certain things, and so I want to debunk that as well. That I think they're just not wanting to make some of the same mistakes as themselves and their mothers and their grandmothers. And so we really just need to like break the myth that all single women too are single because ain't nobody's chosen them. Well, some women are just saying, look, I want peace and I haven't found peace. So it's just better if I stay single instead of
who said that man is the only one that gets to choose? That is this toxic masculinity which has built this society to say that men are the only ones in charge of choosing their spouse, because that is patriarchy. Okay, that
we gonna definitely talk.
It's a problem because again, like even when you look at shows like Bridgerton, you know what I'm saying? Like that was real life how they did things back in the day. Like women did not have, you just had to sit there, right? And you know, you got the quarters, and so they kind of had a choice, but they couldn't really choose because they got daddies and brothers and every mamas and everybody else dictating their future for them. They couldn't really do anything. All Shorty was allowed to do was play the piano and look cute. Like,
but I didn't like her. I'm sorry.
Like, come on. It was a lot of
manipulation.
We're gonna talk about that in another conversation.
I did not like the heroine, if we could call her such a thing.
She was a rapist, if you want to be honest.
Sure.
No means no. Okay. White woman, no means no. Okay. Exactly. But we can talk about that later. But
I got so many emotions about that.
It's that type of energy that women are just to be looked at. We're pretty flowers, and men get to pick and choose and decide who they want, and we just have to go at their whim. Like, no, baby, I'm the prize. I choose.
We both are prizes. Why can't we both be prizes?
I think we can be, but I think you have to meet me with that energy. If you're not,
I agree with that
energy, then you can have several seats.
I agree with that. I do feel like, however, we need to acknowledge as women, we need to also let men feel like they are the prize. I think because that has been like such a form of abuse of power in so many ways that women are so uncomfortable living in certain spaces with men. And I've tried to have this conversation on several different fronts. Like, it's not necessarily that women don't want to submit. It's just that when I've yet to hear submission explained from a man where it doesn't completely deprive a woman of her ability to think for herself, to choose for herself. It doesn't feel like servitude. It doesn't feel diminishing, or they don't feel devalued. I have yet to hear that explanation come in like that. Hello, Taylor. Welcome, love.
Lady in red. I
see you. Yes. And I feel like that is a huge problem, is that it's not that women don't want to get in these relationships, that they can. allow men to take the lead. In the past, that has been an extreme abuse of power. And so women are just not in a rush to jump into that until you can prove to them you're not going to abuse that power.
Let's break this down though.
Let's break it down.
Because men, again, the way society has been set up since darn near the beginning, Western society and culture, let's be clear about that, is that women are secondary to men's choices and decisions. So even when you take the Bible and how it's being taught, that one passage, because not even that one passage, that one piece of the passage, because they couldn't even quote you the rest of that scripture other than women submit to your husbands. That's all they got.
The part says, and husbands submit to your wives.
But they ain't gonna say that part. They're only gonna say that first piece of the passage. Because they're like, oh,
they don't need nothing else.
They don't need nothing else. Women submit was first. Now, if they would have wrote it the other way around, or whoever translated the other way around, it'd have been a different story. But they only say that one piece of the passage and can't even give you the rest of the scripture, or can't even tell you the verse that the scripture comes from. Okay, now this is a problem because, again, this is the way society has been built. So when that part, and that only that part, is being taught, because there's literally pastors in churches that's only teaching that part and not the rest of the scripture as well.
Oh no, we losing that. We gonna give her a second to hop back in. She comes and goes, but that's okay. She'll be here. You frozen, Nat, so we gonna wait for Nat to come back. But welcome, Taylor. Hello, so happy to have you back, Taylor. You guys probably recognize Taylor. She is a regular on Oh We Gonna Talk, and she definitely had some views about this particular topic, and I want to hear from Taylor because you are just such an articulate woman, and you're so able to express so many things. And I feel like you could have a lot to add to this from a different perspective. So we got Nat popping back in with us as well. Yay, Nat. Welcome back, sis. Oh, but we can't see you. You're in the dark. So let me take you out and put you back in.
You can see
I can't see her.
You can see me.
You can see her?
I can see you.
Okay. You can't see
this the same thing that happened the
This
last
is what happened last time. Everybody else could see me, but you couldn't see me.
I can't hear her either.
You can't hear me?
You can't hear her? Because she... Oh, no.
You hear me, Taylor?
Yeah, I can hear you, Natalie.
So I'm going to pop back in.
I can't hear her. I don't know what.
Natalie said she's going to pop back in later.
Okay.
Try it again.
Okay, because I'm like, what didn't happen yet? Okay, let's see if this works.
All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear.
I was like, you know what? This worked last time. We're going to do it again. We're going to leave and come back.
Well, at least they could see you. I just couldn't see you. But
that's all right. But you need to see me too, sis.
I need to see you.
Collective energy of being seen.
Yes. But you were saying before you got cut off, you was making mention of how patriarchy, which is pretty much what that is, has been forcibly put into our minds with stuff by use of tools like the Bible, etc.
Yeah, and it's been indoctrinated within men and within women, because we're going to talk about it today, that we're less than. And that we kind of have to just accept. Because even when you look at, we're talking about generational curses here, our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, and sometimes our mothers and our aunties, and the things that they accepted and that they allowed, that we looking like, y'all probably shouldn't have let that slide. Why granddaddy got so many kids? That ain't come from you. Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, we got all these questions on what our ancestors have, and our elders who are still here with us have allowed from their men, and it's because that's what's been indoctrinated within men and in women. But I think the thing is now that people are such an uproar about single women, all of these single women, is because these new age women ain't for none. Like, we are not standing for those same things any longer, and we are demanding what's owed to us because we know what we bring to the table and that we are worthy. Now, don't get me wrong. It's some women with some unrealistic standards. Okay. We're going to talk about that too, because I ain't just here to talk about what men ain't doing, because women, we need some fixing as well. Ain't none of us perfect out here in these streets. The goal is for all of us to be a little bit better. Okay.
Me too. And we want to talk about all of that stuff. And I think that we don't talk about it from that perspective. And that's why we keep going around and about in circles, and we're not getting back together. And I just get so frustrated because I hear the anger and frustration from women, and I don't think it's being received from the other end. But then I also hear some of the frustration from the other end when they're trying to talk to us. And then sometimes we just get completely, which is why I'm not a big Kevin Samuels fan. Whether he's telling the truth or not, it's not to say that you have to sugarcoat things. I think that he definitely belittles women, and he doesn't have to belittle them in
Black
the way
women
that he's explaining. It's Black women, especially
dark-skinned Black women specifically,
and that's an issue.
Very important to like highlight.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it doesn't have to come that way. And then I hear so many men like, yeah, all Kevin Samuels, and he telling females the truth, and here holding them accountable, and he's this, or he's also using women's insecurity, using women's pain as a platform to profit. And that is not always, that's not fair to us at all. Because if we were to do that and wrote a book, or you had some woman that was on bashing men, having men call in and bashing them, like, this woman will be all kinds of names. And so I don't think that
you got predators on both sides.
You
and
got
he's
predators
on the side of gaining the support of men and some women by bashing women. And then you have the people who clearly some of them out here lying in these streets, but they bashing men, getting the like from women and the support of women on how these men are so wrong. And I think the reality is both of them have truths. To be honest, both of them are speaking some truths. Okay, you got to take the good and the bad, but both of them are doing it to extremes, where we should really just be talking about the real and meeting people in the middle where they are. Say your truths, say it respectfully, but then also make sure you're saying what's going on the other end of that spectrum too.
I agree 100%. And I don't think that it's necessarily being done that way. And so the whole platform of today, and then we're going to have the opposite side. So for all the men out there, if you're watching this, or if you watch this is not a male bash fest. We are not about to bash men, but we do want to debunk and break down some of the reasons why there are single Black females. And it's not all because no one has chosen them. And I think we need to stop saying that and saying that we're unmeritable, or Black women aren't submissive enough, or they're not enough. And that's why no one has married them. Because a lot of women have chosen not to get married to just anybody, which is also something that you guys say, right? You say that women don't have enough standards and they're not right. And so now that women are trying to do better and not just settle for being in a relationship and having requirements, for sometimes it seems as if that's not good enough either. So we need to debunk the myth. And I'm hoping that, men will watch this and hear it from a single woman's perspective about why they are single. It's not to bash men. I want to make sure we emphasize on that. We're not bashing you, because I'm here to tell
I love all the kings out there. Okay.
Listen, I got a wonderful Black men in the house. I love my Black men. I have tons of Black men in my life, and I advocate for Black men as well all the time. But I do feel like there's a huge disconnect and automatic assumption that if you're unmarried, it's because no one wants to marry you. So we need to talk about that.
Start there.
Let's start there.
I would love for you to start, because I'm coming in hot. So you go.
She said she's coming in hot. Red hot.
Okay, yeah. So going off of that, women not getting married because they're deemed unworthy of marriage. For me, that those types of women, they come into like three camps. They're a woman, she is, she's proving herself to be a wife. She's just wasting her efforts on the wrong guy who's not, looking to marry her at the very least. Like, he wants to get married, just not to her. He's with her because she is putting a roof over his head, and she's basically giving her half his paycheck and having his baby and giving him that, you know, that sense of like love that you have for a child without really asking much in return, or in the hopes that she will, you know, her efforts won't be in vain. And then when he get on, he gonna leave your ass for
Taylor coming in hot.
so that's,
You-
one type of woman. Like,
Yeah, because
I thought I was gonna come in hot. Taylor coming in hot.
But
Yeah.
you ready. You coming in
Yeah.
flaming. Okay.
yeah. So the red is for flames.
Coming in hot.
So, yeah.
I'm for
Yeah.
it. Let's
So the
go,
woman,
Taylor.
like, so there is a woman. She is, you know, she is proving herself to be wifey material. She's just wasting her efforts on the wrong man. And to a certain point, some women feel like she's, you know, she's put in so much effort that either she doesn't want to like it all be for nothing, so she'll still stay with him, or B, she feels that she's too old or has too many children to try and, like, you know, find another prospect. And then there's
herself worthy.
And then there's another type of woman who's fine with being single and who's fine with not being married. Like, look at Oprah. What does Oprah really have to gain from marrying Stedman? She's already a billionaire. She, you know, clearly didn't really have an interest in motherhood, and that's perfectly fine. Like, not women. I reject the notion that all women have to be mothers, and if they don't want to be a mother, there's something wrong with them. I reject that notion. Like, Oprah is fine being unmarried, and, you know, she's fine with not having kids, and there are women out there who, you know, live that life, and there are women out there who's just like, okay, I'm willing to marry you, but you need to prove that it's a benefit for me, because I look at all this that I got without you. So that's another type of woman. And then there's the third type of woman who does want to get married, but for whatever reason, like emotionally and mentally, she's being held back, whether it be for fear of like becoming the woman who like wastes her efforts on the wrong man. I should say she gives herself to the wrong man. She, you know, she puts her efforts into the wrong man, or because of this, you know, this brainwashing of like taking bits and pieces of the Bible to serve a toxic patriarchy. Because and I'm willing to admit that, you know, I was, you know, well, I still am. I'm still like working, you know, through it. But I was part of that, because I want a wedding, but I'm not sure if I want a marriage. And it's important to know that there's a difference. Like, you watch all the rom-coms you want, but like, what happens after the wedding? You know, that final shot and the doves and the flowers and what's happening that. And a lot of that came from the fact that every time, like constantly, I would hear. I didn't see it because my dad and my stepmother, they you know, they provided like a good example for me of like marriage being a true partnership. And, you know, even my mom and my stepdad eventually, like and I say eventually because my dad and my stepmom, they've been married as long as I can remember, whereas my stepfather, he like came in my life when I was 12. So like, but anyway, like there was always this thing about like, oh, submit to your husband, in my mind meant you had to be subservient. And I'm now starting to realize that there's a difference.
There is a difference, but I don't think that people understand the difference, and I don't think that men are conveying the difference if they do understand it properly, because
I don't think they know. I think
here's the thing. So I explained it to
Robert.
Robert. We were talking the other day, and I was telling him, I said, what people don't realize is that for Black women, it feels like going into slavery. And he was just like, well, I said, no, really, hear me out. I know it sounds extreme,
Juneteenth,
but it feels like that. So when you think about racism, the whole premise is that Black men were subservient, or they were inferior to these men, right? And as a result, they did not deserve to have certain free will or certain things, and that their purpose was to serve white men.
And to be abused by white men, to be abused by them, abused and silently take the abuse.
And they were supposed to take the abuse. And then they used the Bible to try and justify that train of thinking. And so what men are understanding is that when they hear submission, that is what a lot of Black women hear. And they don't just hear it because they don't want to, they want to prove how independent they are. The needs of having such independency came from the abuse of power that has been used in their, in backgrounds before. So our grandmothers, like, they had husbands with different families. They had husbands that were abusive. They had husbands that did many things, and they couldn't leave because they didn't have jobs. They were kept women. They couldn't get jobs. They couldn't get bank accounts. They couldn't do all of these things on their own. The system was set up so that they could be property to their husbands. So
and you have to look at where the Black men learned it from. When we talk about, that's why I said the Western cultures, because in Africa we was working together. Everybody had a job. Everybody did what they needed to do. It was
they were matriarchies in Africa,
right? Like, so that's why I made sure I said in Western civilizations and cultures. And so once we got over here, we learned these not kind, not accurate behaviors from our slave masters. They belittle their women, and all we know is what we're taught. It's like a child. When you raising your kids, if that's all you showing them, that's what they're gonna do. So once freedom came, we mentioned Juneteenth, and even in the slave quarters, that's how we like, oh, that's how you treat your wife. Okay, cool. Especially when we're talking about the babies that are being raised in this type of behavior, not to mention the psychological traumas that they were going through at the time. It was easy to vent out on your wife or at your kids or whomever that was there for you to be higher of, because you were lower to these white people. And so that's why a lot of people did. And not all, it wasn't all Black men coming out of slavery. Don't get me wrong, with some great Black men then, just like it's some great Black men now. But the ones who were not so great and they did act in these behaviors, we have to look at why. Y'all know me, but why?
But also to that, if we want to even just talk about our recent examples, because we've had some very clear, very recent examples of where that line of abuse was right in front of us. And I know a lot of women have said, well, my grandmother pulled me to the side and said, baby, don't do that.
Don't do that.
You don't want to be like this, and you don't want to be like that. So you have a lot of mothers, grandmothers, etc., pulling the next generation aside and saying, no, I didn't feel like this when I was in this situation. I stayed committed because that's what I had to do, or I do love so and so. But so a lot of the times, Black women have grown up seeing one of two examples of what it means to be with a man. So it means either if he's around, I have to be subservient. I have to be pretty much enslaved. I'm not going to be respected. He gets to run around and do whatever because he's just being a man. They say that, he can go and mess up the house's money, and we can almost be out on the street and be poor, but that's just being a man. And I got to still stand by my man and be ride or die, committed for better or worse. He's abusing me monetarily, financially, because financial abuse has happened many, many times in generations where it's like, okay, I control the money, so I control you. You don't get to do, you don't get to say, you have to follow what I said. I'm the man, beat down. All I got to do is go and work a job and come home and do nothing, and you're expected to rear the house, and if things get tight, you got to go out and make money too to bring it home, and then I take the check.
Your money,
I say what to do with the money because I'm the head of the house. And what person would want to commit and submit to that?
And some women choose to stay single forever because they don't want to deal with that. They want to be able to have their own sense of agency over their entire life. They don't want to have to run nothing by nobody because, that's what, has been taught to us, that we don't get a say, even though we're keeping the household, in check, and we may know what is best financially to keep the household running. Especially if something goes wrong, we're the first ones to get blamed, not the husband who like took all the money that he earned for the week and spent it on booze and like, you know, going to like the jukebox and like, you know, cutting the rug and all that good stuff. Like, oh, well, why'd you let your husband do that? Like, why didn't you tell your husband?
Let him do
I
that?
did tell him, and he punched me in the face and told me to mind my place.
But see, that's the thing. When we want to talk about, I see the sister in the chat say freedom. I said freedom, and Shantae, you were saying shackles, enslavement for a lot of people is what this means, because we already laid out the system that's built this, right? So when we talk about modern day, present day women saying, I'm good on that. And Taylor, you did a great job laying it out in the different camps that women may be lying in on I'm good. And I think the thing is, well, for Sante, you were saying men like, oh, ain't nobody chose you yet, or the concept of something must be wrong with you, that you a certain age or something and you still single. It's like, we don't do that here. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I can pick up my phone, I can open my laptop, I can walk outside, I can go to the grocery store and find a man. Like,
all our DMs.
A woman has never had a hard time. I don't care what she looks like. I have not met a woman yet that has had it complicated to give out her vagina.
It's not complicated.
It's not complicated.
The thing is with those camps that Taylor broke down, you also have the other side of that with women who just don't care, who's allowing those men to come and go through her physically, through her space, through her mentally. And she doesn't, it goes back to, again, deeming yourself worthy. She doesn't deem herself worthy of more. And she's going with this society's norm of that you have to be chosen and that men can do this, that.
You know what? I'm ready to argue that I don't even think it's the worth thing as much anymore. I really think that.
No, I know beautiful, talented women who said it after they've come out of the coma of foolishness to say, you know what, I just didn't think I was worthy of it. Like, I knew I deserved
some women
accept the love we deserve.
Never 100.
But it's for some women, but I also think that you find that a larger part of women are really, really, really trying to prove also that they can love somebody despite to a fault. Because I do
you talking about being ride or die chicks?
Like, I got absolutely.
But see, this is the thing. Now, I get that, because that's also a thing that a man put in place for him to be able to do whatever he want to do when you still be there.
But also, you want to feel a sense of pride in yourself that when that person makes it. So you kind of look at, because there's also all of these sayings, right? He's all these sayings of behind every successful man was a strong woman, right? And so you want to be that strong woman. You want to be the one that somebody looks back and says, like, you know what? I couldn't have done it without you.
I get that.
So I
feel like, and I don't see a problem with that. If you're holding a man down and helping to support and uplift a man who's trying. But my fault is for women who are with these men. I was going to call them something else.
We're not going to bash today.
We're not bashing. That's why I stopped. Who are with these individuals who are actively not choosing them, who are actively cheating, and they know, because they picking up phones and checking emails and all this other stuff, who are actively not contributing to the household, who are actively deadbeat dads, who are actively all of these different things, and women are still allowing that type of energy to be in their presence. That's a problem for me, and that's a self-worth type thing, because you have to know you deserve more than that.
Not all self-worth, though. It's not all self-worth. Some of it, Robert said.
I got you, Robert. I got you.
Whoa, Nat.
I got you, Robert.
So it's not all of that. And I guess because I find myself having this conversation quite a bit. I really think that you have also a set of women that want to give men the space to make mistakes. So one of the things that is a huge issue that people don't understand in marriage is that you're both going to fall short in a marriage sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I think that because us women especially are superhero women, we wear the cape. So we tend to almost come off sometimes like we never mess up and we never fall short. But sometimes we gonna fall short as well. So I do think that there are some women out there that absolutely positively want to give men the space to fall a little short. I think what happens is sometimes you find the one that you trying to extend that grace to, and they more than falling short. They're not even standing up.
They're not worthy.
They're not even doing anything. And I think that there has never really been a clear pathway, a guideline for people to understand the difference. I really think that women a lot of times don't know what the difference is. They don't know. They know they have these examples of extremes, right? So you have either a father that wasn't present. So then that's the extreme. So then when you have a man that somewhat shows up, it's like, well, he shows up for me because, this man never did. And so you're basing the bare minimum off of an extreme. And so I think that there isn't a real clear understanding of what the common ground is and what is safe to give grace and what isn't. And so we either are to one side or the other. And then when we start to come around, it's like, well, I'm just shutting it all down. So I think that there's a disconnect in that too. And I don't think it's all about, I don't feel worthy. I think deep down, it's like, you want something better and it doesn't feel right for somebody to mistreat you in that way. And that's part of understanding that you deserve better. When you have no self-worth, it's like, I deserve this. I deserve this. This is the best I'm going to get. I'm not going to get anything better. So I have to accept this because this is what I have and this is what I could get. I don't think that most women consciously go into situations believing that they deserve the worst and they deserve the mistreatment that they get. I'm
going to give you an example real quick, sis.
Go ahead.
I'm going to speak for myself because I can't speak for nobody else. No, I'm going to speak for myself, right? Now, there's different levels of what people allow, and we kind of talked a little bit about this before we came on about like women to a certain extent allow lesser from men. So of course the men are going to do lesser because you allow them to do lesser, right? So there's a certain standard, like you talked about, people basing standards off extremes of people that weren't there at all to you doing the bare minimum, so you must be okay. Like there's different levels to that, right? And so for me, I went into relationships several where, of course you love somebody, and I'm a ride or die type of person, period. I extend grace because I feel like if we can talk about it, we can make it work. If you willing and I'm willing, it ain't nothing we can't work out. We're going to just let me know and don't let me find out. And we can work through some stuff. I give grace and I'm a ride or die. I'm going to support you in whatever you need support with. Let's get it. That's me. Now, there's things that happen in the course of relationships, and if it's a bad relationship or if it's not the best relationship, because all relationships ain't horrible, because we've talked about this on relationship shows in the past, that just might not be the one for you. That doesn't mean that person is a bad person or that person is malicious or none of that. That just may not be the person for you. So in any of those circumstances, there's certain things that ring a bell, and I'm sure everybody didn't been in a relationship where you'd be like, okay, no, that ain't for me. Right? So
or seeing it from the outside looking in.
Or seeing it from the outside and you're like, that probably shouldn't have been said that way. Or why that had to go down like that? They wasn't even like, you notice things where you just like, okay. So in the course of a relationship, this is what I mean about self-worth. I don't believe that majority, because some women I do believe, with really, really low self-esteem, go in like, this is all I deserve. But I don't believe that the majority of women go into relationships that may be seen as unfit for them as this is all I deserve. They go into it with their emotions. You know what I'm saying?
Because those types of men, they put their best foot forward. And then once they move into your house and or they get you pregnant, then they're like, okay, I got it.
Colors start to show. So I don't believe that most women go in like this is all I deserve. But this is what I mean about self-worth. So once you're in that situation, And this person may have put on some good airs in front. The mask was cute, right? Then the mask started sliding off, and you started to see them cracks underneath. And you like, why you say that to me like that? Or why you just can't do this when we've already talked about this? Or those inconsistencies or that things that ain't gonna work for you. Now this is where I feel like self-worth come in, because self-worth is gonna say, a certain amount. It's gonna say, nah, bro. Not at the first sign of crack, because we forgiving folk. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna give you some other opportunities to fix it. But after a certain point, once you realize that those things aren't going to be fixed, and then more issues start coming off, as that man starts to slide a little bit more, and it ain't cute no more. When you start accepting these things as your truth, then self-worth is going to, when you're not accepting them as your truth, self-worth is going to say, you know what? You're not the one for me. I deserve better, because you're not going to shift your behavior and you're not going to change. A lack of self-worth is going to say, well, do I really need that?
I disagree. And here's why I disagree. And this is why I think that this is problematic in some instances going into a marriage. And this is something that I absolutely had to learn. So I too am speaking from experience.
Absolutely.
I believe that there is a difference. So all of us, every single one of us on this planet have flaws. We talk about negotiables and non-negotiables all the time. That's one of my favorite things to talk about. I have some negotiables and I have some things that are absolutely, if I do not get these things in my relationship, I'm not going to survive. And some of these negotiables are universal. So even if it's a friendship, if I don't have this, I'm not going to be able to have a real authentic relationship with a person. My disagreement is that I think sometimes we mix up cracks and red flags and flaws, because they are kind of different. So all of us have flaws. It's not a perfect person on this planet. I know what my flaws is. I'm aware of what I'm bringing to the table.
Absolutely.
I know what I'm bringing to the table positively, and I know what I'm bringing to the table negatively. That is not to say that I haven't allowed grace for things where other women may have felt like, oh, why would you allow grace for that? Because that's something that they would not allow grace for. And that's okay too. So you have to know what your limitations and your boundaries are, because not everybody have the same limitations and boundaries. And so it's easy for us also to assume that if somebody is allowing grace to their mate for something in particular, maybe they don't have any self-worth, or maybe they just want to give grace on that. And that's not really necessarily a place where we can judge. Where we think about not having enough self-worth, when you don't have self-worth, it's saying that this is what I deserve. I know this man is hella wrong. I know that he doesn't treat me right, but nobody else is going to love me. Nobody else is going to do it. There's nobody else out there. This is the best that I can get, and I'm going to stick with it. That's lack of self-worth. And that's not the same thing as giving somebody grace, because we're going to all fall short.
I agree with grace. I gave a plenty of grace, right. And I don't feel bad for giving grace, because like you said, everybody's going to fall short. But what I'm saying is there's a difference between grace and knowing when to move around.
Facts. But that's why you have non-negotiables where there's no negotiating. Your negotiables are times on things that you can extend some grace. So you have those moments where it's like, okay, I'm not happy about this thing, but we can try to work it out. Just like what you were saying, there are some things that you felt like, I can give some grace if we talk. I don't have to hear it this way, and it don't do that. So that's a negotiable then. That's something that I'm going to extend some level of grace for. And then your non-negotiables are absolutely not, under no circumstances whatsoever. You do this, I'm done. I only have 3.
So what I'm saying is there are women with no non-negotiables. There are women out here that's just allowing things to happen to them.
Those are the women that don't have self-worth.
And that's what I'm saying.
You that it's more women that do have some self-worth than we realize. And we assume that they don't have self-worth because they are in situations that we may deem or look at as not being healthy for them or toxic, because it's based off of our non-negotiables. So there are some things that we want people to do more. Like, for example, I wholeheartedly think that women should still be courted. Hey, get courted, sis.
I'm not proposing to a man. I'm not.
Like,
I'm not.
No, that's a no for me, dog.
You
That's a non-negotiable in dating.
I'm with you, Taylor.
If you don't propose to me, the next dude will.
Right. So when
that's
bring it back.
I will bear his child, not yours.
They need to bring back courting. And I saw a meme the other day where it tickled the hell out of me. I literally laughed like
courting.
Look, facts. But I saw this meme and I could not stop laughing. Like, I literally couldn't stop laughing. But at the same time, it bothered me because I know that this is something that really occurs, especially among Black women. But it was just hella funny to me, not in a very bad way. I felt guilty from laughing, but it was like, why you going with something like seeing a man at night? You ain't no roach. And I don't know why that shit tickled me to no end, but it's true. So it was pretty much saying that
man, Taylor got the squints.
So it was pretty much saying that if a man only sees you at night, you ain't no roach. Like, roach is supposed to come out at night only.
You know, when you you ever been in a project and you turn the light on
and the roach is scattered. So that is what I feel like we've gotten away from as women. We've gotten very comfortable with the bare minimums on certain stuff.
Absolutely.
And no, you should still be courting someone if you are interested. Take her on a date. Now we got these think pieces too, where it's like, well, who takes men on dates? Well, you can take men on a date too, but you can't have it both ways. Like, this is where the contradiction comes. If you want to be the lead, part of being a lead, then if we're gonna stick to the patriarchal definition of
that's
it,
when they get to picking and choosing though.
Yes.
When they start talking about paying them dates, they want men to submit and do all of this other stuff, but when it comes, why you can't pay for the day? Now you want me to pay for the day?
And that's contradictory. It's like, okay, now you can't decide when you want to be the lead.
It's just like they picked that one piece out that whole scripture.
What benefits them? They pick what benefits them.
And
they want to make all the financial decisions, but they want you to contribute to half of the bills or most of the bills. They want, and it goes back to like that whole trend about women starting to propose. Now, if they want to do that, that's their business, but I can't help but feel like how many of those women are already living with that man and have his children, and they're waiting for him to propose, but because he ain't gonna do it, she's just like, okay, I'm gonna do it.
But see, that's the thing. And again, y'all can fight me on it if you want to. I think in my opinion,
did you just say square up, sis? You want us to square up with you?
Like, that's a self-worth thing. Like, I feel like if I deserve more, I'm not going to propose to you if you don't want me as a wife. Yeah. If you don't want me as a wife, I'm not getting down on one knee. My opinion, I'm not doing it. And if I'm waiting on you to give me something that I want, I'm not going to wait that long. Because either you want me or you don't want me. And if you don't, stop wasting my time. I'm gone. You know what? I'm not giving you the option. I'm already gone. Like, I think that's the thing when we talk about single women today that we have to really recognize is that we are tired of the BS. Whether we tired of from seeing like breaking down those camps Taylor broke down, whether we tired of seeing our grandmothers and our aunties and mamas' lives, or if we tired of dealing with these men that can't step up, or like whatever it is, we tired. And I will repeat, I love me some men. I love me some Black women. I love them queens out there too. I love all y'all. Okay. Now the thing is though, is I'm not going to allow all of y'all in my space. Okay. Now, again, I can pick up the phone, I can walk the door, I can lift up this laptop, all of these different things, and a man will come. But the right man is what I feel like percentage of single women today is waiting on. And there's no shade to the ones that's not right. You just not the right one for me. Another woman will love you for exactly where you are and who you are.
Yeah.
It goes back to what Sante was saying. Everybody's non-negotiables or relationship standards are different. And I don't judge nobody for what their relationship look like because baby, I'm kind of different. All right. So Listen,
You got the producer over there in the kitchen. He had a chuckle about the I'm kind of different.
I'm kind of different, y'all. Listen, the world to be surprised at some stories I got. Listen, I'm kind of different. So, like, whatever your relationship is for you, that's cool for you, long as if it's working for you and your mate. Because at the end of the day, y'all all y'all got. But y'all have to be happy, truly happy, and not somebody bearing the weight and the other person living their best life. That's not a cohesive relationship. And that's
I want to talk about that. Go ahead, Taylor, with your point, but I want to talk about that and the expectation too about going into and how that affects why women are single. So go ahead, Taylor, with your point, and then I'll ask that question.
Yeah, and then going off of like what you said, Natalie, and then earlier what you said, Shantae, about finding out what your negotiables are. For some women, marriage, even today, by today's standards, marriage is a business contract. And you see all of these like very, these wealthy women who know that their husbands are cheating on them, and for them, so long as the money keeps flowing, and so long as they can live a life of luxury and they ain't got to see it, like it's not in their face, they're fine with it. Because like, yeah, my man cheating on me, but I'm on my private jet to go shopping in Paris for the weekend. And like my children that I have, their futures are secure. And yeah, there may be a side baby or two, but so long as my children's quality of life doesn't go down, have all the side babies you want. Because for some women, they may not like it, but they'll put up with it and they'll be fine with it because that was the deal. So long as I get your money, I don't care. I want your money. It's that financial security. And another thing about that is because a lot of women, they want to marry for that financial security. And then those men that certain types of men, they're calling them gold diggers. But, how many of those men calling those women gold diggers could actually get that woman's attention? They don't have the means. They don't offer financial security. So they're bitter about that. So they call the women who do want to marry for financial security gold diggers. And I'm not going to lie. Some of them are gold diggers. Like, of course, some of them are gold diggers.
I mean, they admit it. But by all accounts, like, you have to be
mad at the gold diggers when the men know that they gold diggers and they marry them anyway?
Because the whole purpose of them anyway is to be a trophy wife for that well-off man and in exchange for providing that security.
And that goes to what we said about people in their individual relationships. That's what they know they going into this with, then that's what they cool with. Some people marry for love. Some people like, no, I really love you. I don't care who you from or what you got. I love you. And some people like, I ain't marrying below this pay rate.
Yeah, like love. For some people, like marrying for love, it's not like they'd rather marry somebody who's rich that they're not in love with but can tolerate rather than be poor and be in love. Because love don't pay the bills. Love don't feed your baby.
And love doesn't conquer
don't pay the hospital bills.
Which is one of the sayings I hate the most. Love does not conquer everything. Y'all better stop playing. This ain't no damn
money can buy happiness to a certain
love is an extreme important ingredient in healthy relationships, but it doesn't conquer everything and it doesn't get through everything. There's a whole lot of
love you to pieces, but if we can't communicate, what's that love
communicate? If we can't move forward, if you don't respect me, I don't respect you. Like there's no amount of love that's going to help that. It's not going to remedy that. And so we need to definitely break that ideology that love conquers all, because it doesn't. And we don't want to feel like, well, as long as we got love, I'm miserable, but I love this person. That has held a lot of people captive as well, because it's okay
for you to ride or die. Women ride or die.
And I think
where is the men ride or die at? Okay, hold on. I know sometimes
they ride or die until they get a better.
I know they out there, but the portrayal is always that woman that's gonna stick by this man, right? And I know it's some men that's gonna stick by women. I've seen it, but that is not publicized. That is not a call to action. I feel like we got call to actions for women to be like, you need to be a ride or die. If not, you ain't real. But why is that a call to action for me? I feel like it needs to be we need to ride or die for each other, because if I'm always ride or die and you sitting on the couch.
Wait a minute.
What we doing?
That leads into what I wanted to talk about next, because I really feel that also that plays into single Black females as well, but on a negative way. So all shout outs to all the women that are choosing, because hopefully we've broken that myth that women do choose to be single. They're not single by force. There are a lot of women that are single by choice. So I hope y'all hear that and understand that at this point. But I do want to also address the women that go into being single because they haven't found this perfected idea of a man, and they're looking for perfection from a man. They're looking for the perfect things to line up, all the stars and moon to get married, and then they're expecting for this perfect marriage, and when it's not perfect, they like, I'm better off being single.
Ain't nothing
So
perfect.
Ain't nothing perfect. So I
But
want to
Catherine,
ask
I need you to start
question.
dropping some of these comments on the screen because they.
I know. I'm gonna start dropping some of these comments. So, you know, I dropped some of them. I have, what type of bum ass dude y'all ran into, Cordell?
Listen, Cornell, brother, I can tell you some stories. Listen.
So here's my question then. What are your expectations as single women that you are looking for in order to not be a single woman anymore? So what standards have you set? What are you looking for a man, and how have you not found that yet? Like, what has gotten in the way of you finding that to not be single anymore?
Taylor, you want to go first?
Okay, yeah, sure. So for me, like I said earlier, I'm still discovering things about myself, and because of that, my standards are sometimes shifting and changing. Right now, I am choosing not to be in a relationship because I am still working on myself. Like, the perfect man could come to me tomorrow, but I still won't pursue that relationship with him because I'm still working on myself. And personally, I don't think it's really fair to like enter a relationship, you know, fully and expect somebody, you know, without talking about it, to just, you know, deal with you still trying to grow and stuff. Like if I'm up front and I tell him like, hey, I'm still working on me, I don't know what's gonna happen. Are you fine with that? And if he's fine with that, okay, then we'll ride this ride until we can't no more. But yeah, for me right now, I'm choosing not to because there are things that I want to do, and I enjoy my me time. Like, I'm an introvert. I like being alone. I value my personal time. And then in regards to my standards as of right now, my standards, aside from like, you know, the obvious, like, don't be abusive, like, I'm not here for the colorism, like, I'm really not trying to be here for anybody that's anti-LGBT plus. Like, I can't deal with that. Like, those go without saying. But and what I'm finding that is that my requirements for a man, it does, you know, revolve around physical relations. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but like in a previous, like, you know, video chat, you know, we talked about my asexuality. And one of the reasons why I was afraid to enter a relationship was because of this expectation of sex. And that's not something that I don't know if I'll ever truly want to do. Like, I'm not saying that, you know, there may come a day where I want to try it, but after I try it and I don't want to do it anymore, is my partner going to be cool with that? So that is something. So my standards are like, I need somebody who's, you know, going to communicate with me, isn't going to make me feel bad for not being, you know, this sexual goddess or whatever, and somebody who's willing to be patient with me and will understand the fact that I don't have a lot of boundaries because I don't really know anything, but will stop when I say stop. And they're not going to be like, oh, come on, let's just continue and see what happens. Or like, yeah, no, when I say no, I'm done. Like, don't keep bugging me, and then don't like have an attitude and then like emotionally manipulate me by guilting me into like, you know, conceding to whatever your desires are. Because at the end of the day, like, I got to live with me, and like, this is my body. So that's one of my stances on the matter. And like I said, I recognize that a lot of, you know, there are some dudes that when it comes to their sexual desires, they can only put up with so much. So, and that's why like I'm choosing not to be in a relationship, because I know that that can be a lot for somebody. So that's like one of the standards. And then I want somebody to, like, you know me, I'm a Disney girl. I'm wearing a Princess Tiana shirt.
That's a fast shirt, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. And then so for me, like, I love Disney. I obsess over Disney. For me, my person, they don't have to love Disney as much as me, but they can't hate it.
That's non-negotiable.
You don't gotta love it.
So I wanna address
You ain't gotta sing,
really
but
quick.
you gonna watch.
I'm gonna address the comment really quick, where it said Black women act like they don't need Black men. We aren't a priority. A strong Black community is built on strong Black families. I need to debunk this because I think that,
and after you done, can I debunk as well?
you can have it, sis. Yes, I'm gonna pass the mic on to you.
Appreciate
So I have not met a Black woman in my circle that don't want to see Black men as such, or don't try to see Black men as such. I think when you have a Black woman that speaks from a place that Black men are obsolete, it's usually based in trauma. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we are not hearing that. And I really want us to hear that, because the only way it is going to get to a point where there are more Black families is if we really start hearing and listening to understand each other. Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of Black men that want to have faith in Black women that want to have faith in Black men, that want to marry Black men and have beautiful Black babies. I know that I didn't think I ever wanted to get married, but we talked about that. But I'm so proud, even in the fact that we haven't had a perfect marriage. We've had struggles, etc., that I'm married to a Black man and I have little Black children. And I think that it took for me to get to that place to even be open-minded to being in a marriage with a Black man, or being in a marriage period, with dealing with my own trauma. And when I started to really think about why I shied away from wanting to get married and the fears that I had in being married, I started to allow myself to be open to receive a marriage. When I started to realize that I can't have certain levels of expectations, that this person won't make mistakes, that also changed my marriage once I was in it, etc. So I really feel like what gets misunderstood and stepped over and ignored is that I don't think it's that women don't feel Black men are important. They don't feel that Black men that abuse them are important. They don't feel that Black men that don't respect them are important. They don't feel that Black men that don't protect them. And when I talk about protection, it's not you go get your gun if someone does something. I need to feel protected mentally. I need to feel protected emotionally. I need to feel protected spiritually. I need to feel protected in that we're in a partnership. And I am in this with you, not in this for you, because there's a difference. And so if more Black women felt those things, if more Black women were presented with the opportunity to feel those things with Black men, there would be, I think, not one Black woman that is heterosexual that would not be with a Black man. It's because they're having the most difficult time finding that. It's because in having to be with a Black man, it means I have to diminish and devalue myself for him. It means that I have to be, women were created, John, to help men because men were incomplete. When God finished making man, he knew that Adam was incomplete. If we're going to go there about the first man, he saw that he was not complete. And he said, I will build you a helpmate, not a slave, but a helpmate. And your responsibilities as the husband is to tend to blah, 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 blah. And your responsibility as the wife is to tend to blah, 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 blah. And so we meet each other. We meet each other.
Tag me in.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm coming, sis. I'm coming. Right, we meet each other, and that's how we make it. There is benefits in men having a woman. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. See, he who finds a wife finds a good thing, because you found somebody to help you. And it's like, it gets brought up like, I'm here for you. I'm property for you. And I don't know anybody in their right mind that's going to submit to being property to anyone. Not one person.
That were slightly brainwashed, but
that's, so it has to be understood that women definitely do want to have faith in men and they want to be with men, but they don't want to be misused, abused, and mistreated by men. It didn't say never was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. I just
I just want to say this.
We were just talking about men using bits and pieces of
We
the Bible.
were just talking about this. But what I want to say here,
right. Go ahead, that.
This is what I want to say. Regardless of what the book of the Bible says, we gonna speak on this truth, and in conjunction with what the book of the Bible says. Men and women were created with different strengths. Okay,
to complete.
So as the woman, I'm gonna use my air quotes. Y'all see these quotes popping through here. As the woman was created for the men, so was the men created for the women. We are helpmates. Okay, so in my opinion, everybody got their opinion, and your opinion is yours. But in my opinion, we were created to help each other. And for everybody else who like what you like, I don't like it. As long as y'all helping each other, y'all all right with me. So this is what I mean. When they say the man is the head, okay, you can be the head, but you can't make no turns without that neck. The woman is the neck, right? We work together to get done what needs to be done. Women have a certain strengths, and men have certain strengths, and we have to work cohesively together to maintain a beautiful union, project, household, family structure. And I totally agree. We need Black families. Black families were torn apart intentionally when we got to this country. Intentionally. They're still intentionally being torn apart to this day through the government and everybody else who had a hand in it. Okay. So why do you think that is? It's because a Black family unit cohesively working together is a problem, because that's family structure, that's stability, that's knowledge, with all of the things that men have and women have that they work together to build upon a beautiful family union. Okay, my opinion. Now, I do want to make it be known, because I've said it several times, I'll say it several times more. I love Black men, love Black women, love Black babies. I love Black people. Okay, so this is never gonna be a male bashing thing, because if you love yourself as a Black woman, you're not gonna not love a Black man, because again, we have strengths and they have strengths, and if you're smart enough to understand, that we need each other, period.
Hold on. So I'm sorry, sis. I just really gotta address. I got you. This last scripture that was posted, and this is where I get very frustrated at times when scripture is used without reading the whole scripture and understanding the nuances of the scripture and the read between the lines. So you made a scripture that said, "He that giveth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. Where no hedge is, there is possession is spoiled, and he that hath no wife will wander up and down mourning." So if without a wife, this is what you would be subject to, how did it become then that men are superior, that men are the only ones that can do certain things, and that women are not important, and that we are? Because I don't know, every Bible and I've read can be rewritten to fit whatever the message is for that person. It's been happening since between the end of time. It gets translated in the way that people need it to make their point. Okay, and that is not me to say that I don't believe in the Bible. I have studied the Bible since I was a kid. So, I know the Bible more than most people think that I know the Bible. I just don't interpret it the same way that some others may interpret the Bible. Okay. But I just find it interesting how the scriptures are used to only make a point when necessary. Because if you're going to without a wife, if you're going to be in mourning and wandering around without direction, lost and not know what to do. So what does that say about the place that a wife has in a man's life?
And the importance of that woman.
And the importance of that woman. And I feel like Black men really acknowledge Black women's importance without us having to diminish ourselves to make you feel a certain way, we're never going to build those Black families. We're never going to build that community we keep talking about. No sane person is going to enter into anything that makes them feel diminished and devalued. And I see you putting scripture here, John. You know how we go back and forth. I got much love and respect for you always. But when it comes to this, I'm going to stand on that. I am just as important as a Black woman as my Black husband is to me. And
but
because
see, that's that thing. I know I tagged you in, Taylor, but let me say this before.
I'm gonna let you.
Let me say
we gotta really stop doing this, because stuff like this is what's deterring women from wanting to get married. Because when you browbeat her with the scripture like this to make it seem like they are a possession to you, some women are gonna be okay with that. Some women are gonna follow that.
His original thing that he commented in the chats was that Black women, we belittling Black men, we don't like them, or whatever the statement was. I don't want to put words, but I'm paraphrasing. Black women, they are kind of against Black men, is what I gathered from that first statement that he put in. Now, we already said we love us some Black men. All of us have said that, right? Now, the thing is, though, is that I do not know, got me knocking down my arm. I do not know one Black woman that like Black men, that like men, period, that if a man was holding up his end of a bargain, because he also said something about women don't want to be wives. They don't want to be wives, right?
I must have missed that.
Okay, yeah, that was earlier on. I think that was the second comment that was stated.
Okay. Yeah, I saw it too.
The second one. You saw it? Okay. So
yeah,
I don't know a Black woman who likes men who would not be that upstanding wife, who would not. Because I was going to say mofos, women out here cooking and cleaning and taking care of kids and paying bills and balancing checkbooks and grocery shopping for men. That's not their husband. Okay. So if you are handling your end of the bargain as a husband, okay, if you making sure she's provided for mentally, physically, spiritually, if you are there to be her helpmate as she is your helpmate, if you are helping with the children, if you washing the dish every once in a while, if you are being that helpmate to her as you are expecting her to be the helpmate to you, baby, I've said this on the shows before and I'll say it again. Baby, when my future husband find me and I ain't out here talking about being single no more, listen, if he's doing all of those things, you would have to actively pin me down not to be an upstanding wife and take care of that man, not to have dinner ready. You would have to hold me down not to make sure he got what he needed and that he provided for mentally, physically, and spiritually if he's doing his end of the bargain. If the man is the head, then be that head. Be that example.
I want John to put in the comments then, because he's made some other comments. And yes, kudos to you and your wife, John, for 16 years. That is amazing. Mm-hmm. And I'm here to say kudos to you guys. Amazing. I hope that you all, and have faith that you all will continue on this marital journey. But I would like for you, and if any other men are watching, to put in the comments then what things they're doing to be accountable for their wives. So I see that John said the men he dwell with are responsible for their wives. They take responsibility for them. So then I want you to put in the chat what those responsibilities are, what those things are. Don't mention anything about submission, etc. Just put what it is that you are providing for your wife. If you've been married or if you're in a relationship, if you are actively seeking a wife, please, all the men, I see you, Gavin. I see you.
Is that the GD? Is that GD? Gavin?
That's Gavin. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna let Taylor slide because I tagged Nate a long time ago. Why they write these comments? I want to respond to GD. So go ahead, Taylor.
Okay.
Hold on. I want y'all to put that in there. I want you to put and comment what those responsibilities are in your eyes. What do you offer as a husband to a wife that you feel like she should want, and that it's living accordingly to what the expectation is of you as the husband?
Well, GD gonna say he live, and that's it, because he said he ain't no helpmate to his wife, and we got wrong information.
He said, "Where are you all getting this info?"
He said he present, and that's enough. Okay, he ain't helping no damn body. All right, go ahead, Taylor.
Okay, so just a couple of things that I wanted to say, and before I start, I just want to put out that disclaimer in case it isn't clear. This is not a bashing of religion type of place
at all.
So whenever somebody like tries to like get my goat and like try and like prove their point, and their only source of reference is selective quotes from the Bible, my response to that is, what power do those words and scripture have to somebody that does not have the same faith as you? That somebody that doesn't have the same belief as you, that somebody that doesn't worship the same God as you, that somebody who doesn't follow the same religion as you? Like what genuinely, what power does that have? Because I myself, I'm agnostic. So exactly. And like I took that quote to heart from Kanye. But yeah, like I'm agnostic. You quoting the Bible to me, like from a familial standpoint, because I was raised, as a Christian, like that doesn't it only goes so far. I'm just, if I was like a devoted Christian woman, then I suppose, that, what you quoting, the scripture to me would carry some weight, but it doesn't. So what else do you have? So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, it goes back to like my 3 types of women and the middle woman. Women who are choosing not to get married because they see no benefit in it. And it was like, as you were saying, like men, your request for men to put down, what they bring to the table to make a woman want to submit and, follow all that stuff. Because if you're using the Bible to say that women just need to be, submissive, women just need to be submissive. Okay, but what do they get in exchange for their submissiveness? Because like you said, Natalie, nowadays we're doing all the cooking, all the cleaning, we're rearing the child. We have to work. Like most women nowadays, socioeconomic standpoint, we have to work. It is not back in like our grandmother's days where we didn't work outside the home. It's now to a point where we have to. So if I have to work and I have to do the cooking and the cleaning and raise the kids, why do I need to get married? Because I'm already doing it all. Like, why do I? And if you're not going to be my helpmate, then why do I need you? And then also going back to what Odu said about 80% of Black women initiate divorce and 70% have children. First of all, I just want to say, where are you getting these statistics? Is it from a credible source? That's the first thing I want to ask. And second of all, you're talking about the statistics, but you're not really mentioning the information behind it. Like, why are these women getting divorced? Are these women getting divorced because they're leaving abusive relationships? Are they getting divorced because they're tired of the cheating? And yeah, you know what? Women are having babies out of wedlock, but they're not having those babies by themselves.
I was just going to say
they're not having those babies by themselves. And everybody wants to put all the blame on the woman. But let me tell you this.
Who these men sleep with out of wedlock?
Like, real talk.
Why are you spreading your seed?
Yeah, a woman can go out and sleep with 17 different men in a month and only get pregnant once. A man can go out and sleep with 17 different women in a month, and all 17 of them could be having his kids. And we're not even talking about twins. So let me ask you, based off of that, who should the weight of pregnancy be thrust upon more?
Because that just goes into birth control.
Yeah, and you know what? A vasectomy is cheaper than child support, and it is reversible. And it's safer and it's less invasive. And it decreases a man's chance of being lied to when a woman says, this is your baby. It decreases. Because because that is a messed up situation where a woman lies and says, oh, you're the father. That is a messed up situation. But you know what? If a man gets a reversible vasectomy,
well, y'all better stop playing
the condom, he protects himself even more from that. So that's what I wanted to say about the situation.
So I appreciate you 100%, Taylor. I'm gonna sit here and shake my tambourine.
Shake the tambourine.
And I'm just curious about all of these stats, and because again, this is not a bash on religion. I
so many good people.
Whatever makes you whole and makes you good and makes you grow as a person, I wholeheartedly support that. But we also need to be careful about statistics, because just like statistics will show that Black fathers are not happening, that there's not a lot of Black fathers, they're very, small in numbers. We all know better that that's not true, because I know a whole lot of fantastic Black fathers.
I was raised by a fantastic Black father.
So I really need us to be careful with those statistics, because they can go both ways. And they can say that, well, most Black men have several kids and don't take care of them. Most Black men don't make enough to provide.
Women have multiple baby daddies.
So we gotta be very careful of that. Facts.
Statistics have always been to marginalize and shine a certain light on Black people, period, as a whole. When it comes to violence, when it comes to men and women, I mean, we also have to go back. Y'all know I'm a but why type of person. If we look at the Willie Lynch letter, this stuff has been broken down, written down, and taught for generations. Turn the men against the women, turn the young against the old, turn the light against the dark. As a generation who has the resource to say this is what they've been teaching for years, and we know it, we have to stop perpetuating it. Black men, I love you. Black women, I love you. I am you. I want all of us to do better so we can come on one accord, but we have to stop being divisive. Women and men, we have different roles to play. Absolutely. We have different traits that we are good at. Absolutely. But we have to know that when we come together and we're talking about a relationship and coming together to form a union and not being single anymore, there's certain criteria that women nowadays are looking for, and that baseline of basic ain't gonna cut it no more for some of those women. And we can't manipulate or talk about women who are single because they haven't found someone that fits, that is not going to go against their non-negotiables or what they deem to themselves to be worthy of. And for men in 2021, protecting and providing, you're going to have to give more resources. I'm still coming for GD. Listen,
but I'm still waiting on my answer to my question.
Like he said, GD did respond. He said,
but that's
provide. But I'm gonna need more because you said you got a helpmate, and and there's no love behind that. I'm just saying, what does that look like?
Hold on 1 second, because I get very frustrated about this. I get so very frustrated because
what does that mean?
I ask to give me a definition of a clear, detailed explanation of what that is, most men cannot do it.
Right? What does that mean?
Okay.
What is protection? I need you to be clear. Like, what does that mean? What does provision mean, and what does protection mean? So that we can.
And that's the thing, because you saying you're not a helpmate, but you're protecting and providing.
That's a helpmate.
But it's like what Taylor said now. So if we're expected to, because y'all mentioned then to be a wife, right? And I'm assuming, and y'all let me know if you're wrong, the characteristics that you're expecting of a wife is to take care of the children, to take care of the household, to take care of you, and she got to work. And all these different things. So what are you helping her with? She may be protected. How so? She provided for. How so? I need specifics.
So this goes back to like what we were talking about the other day with Chanel's event. How we have to come up with that instruction manual, because people don't know. They don't have no idea how to be a helpmate, and it looks different from each person to person.
Absolutely.
And so I'm obviously not here from the beginning, and I'm just kind of coming in like,
okay. Victoria, everybody, welcome.
Yes, welcome.
Like, for me, it's really important that I understand the needs that I have. I just want to read. So you Hachonan Melik. Accountability is key for everyone. Every other race of women are trained to be wise. Black women are bred to be independent and strong like Massa want them like breaking horses. They raise docile children who feed from the hand of Massa. And then they say you have a husband that's a testimony for women who are wives. Okay.
So if the husband,
can I just chime in real quick?
Right. Go ahead, Dion. We're gonna tag in later. Go ahead. Finish your statement.
Okay, but give me an example of what that means to protect that person then, Gavin, because what I keep not understanding is if I need protection from you, then you're not protecting me. if I don't feel that you understand how I feel, if I don't feel that you're careful with my emotions, you're careful with my mental and spiritual stability, if you're not doing those things, then you are not being a protector, because you don't get to hurt me because you protecting everybody else. That's not protection.
And then I just want to also mention on the provider tip.
Provision is not just monetary either.
Right.
You are also instructed as a husband to provide mentally, emotional, and spiritual fortitude and support.
So if I need help,
not
if
just
you
money.
can't provide me help because you're not my helpmate, then what are we talking about here?
So I think we're also talking. I think we're also getting into like religious beliefs and all that. So
All
this
of
is
that.
going
I mean,
can I just say real
to
quick?
wipe the religious belief out of the conversation, because everybody got different religious beliefs.
Exactly. Like I'm
Everybody
not
have different
you
religions.
saying
Okay.
Titus this and that has no power here.
Mhm.
It doesn't. I don't go to church, so sir, you quote these scriptures.
You have no power here.
It's like it's nice, it's pretty to read. It's pretty to read, but I'm not a Christian, so I'm agnostic.
So for me, like
you got.
Coming in on this, you know, I'm not hot off the press like you guys. I'm still just absorbing, well, not absorbing, but observing what is being said in the comments versus what the conversation piece is. And I'm gonna just say, like, again, it's really important that you find your person, because your helpmate is gonna be different. While GD says a provider is a breadwinner, sometimes I don't need your money, homie. I need you to look after these kids. Can you pick them up from daycare and I don't have to worry? Can you read my mind and make sure I have all the things I need when I get home? Because that might be a breadwinner for me. You winning the bread, bro. So I you know, you might need to provide space for me to make more money. How about that? Like, it's the age of the woman right now. So your men have to find a way to fit into that. Because at this point, y'all are great, but we really don't. I don't want to say this because I you know, eventually
Let's say in your opinion.
He gonna fan me, and I don't want to make him feel like he's not needed, because I do need him, right? Like, I want him to fill a certain space in my life, but at the same time, I don't. And that's the best place to be, I think. I don't want to be needed. I don't want to be necessary in your life, because that means you are depending on me to fill a particular void that I don't want. I have my own life. I have my own stuff that I'm doing with that. I have my own life force energy. I was born for a particular purpose. I wasn't born not to work, actually. I never wanted that. As a child, thinking about being a stay-at-home mom was like, what? Like, that's cute for about a year. And then after that, for me, it's like, no, actually, I do want to work and I do want time away from my children. Actually, I don't like housework. Can I hire someone else to do that? Actually, you know, I love to cook. I really do. But what's way better than me cooking? Somebody else cooking a really good meal that I get to just eat after I have done the things that I came to do in this life. I did not come here to be someone's wife. I came here to be someone's partner in a successful life. And that, you know, looks different from person to person. For some people, staying at home is what they came to do. For some people, being a housewife is like the bee's knees. And I am not knocking those people, because y'all got something I don't. I don't got that. I don't have that blood. I want it. I would love to be comfortable just being at home with my kids. But I know deep down inside that's not for me. And so I don't need somebody to provide my bread. I got my own, you know. I don't need your money. I don't need your protection. I don't need these things, because we as single women have figured it out. We've had to, because we've had so many people make it so that we're in that position. We don't want just any old body. Look, if I want a husband tomorrow, I got about 3 or 4 people I can call and say, yo, you want to do this thing? Because we can. I have that if I wanted that. I don't want a husband. I want a partner in life. We building a legacy, things that are going to be, they're way bigger than us, because at the end of the day, when it all boils down and trickles down, what are we leaving when we dead? Our marriage is going to be what we experience while we're here in this plane of existence. But once I'm dead, what's going to be left behind? It's not going to be my marriage. It might be some stories about my marriage. It might be some stories about my relationship, but I want like tangible and intangible things. I don't want just for y'all to be like, oh, they was a cute couple when they was here. No, that couple was a phenomenal couple. They started businesses for not just themselves, but for the community at large. They provided spaces for people to be and love who they are. They provided spaces for their children. They built the next generation of doers, movers, and shakers. Like, that's the type of legacy I want to leave behind with my partner. It's not about you giving me money. I don't know what's wrong with me and thinking I want your money. I don't. It's cool. I love it. I'm about to go get a pedicure right now. But that's not what you are here for, man. Y'all are not here to be my soldier at arms. You supposed to be my bodyguard. Like, what's that movie? The Bodyguard. Like, I don't need that from you, though I will appreciate it and accept it. That is not your sole title for me. That's not all of your purpose for me. Your purpose should be living your life. Your purpose should be living in your divine God. Like, what are you meant and born to do? What did God say you were supposed to do? I need you to do that. And if what you're doing aligns with what I'm doing, then we was meant to be together. That's how that's going to work.
I
love that. Yes, feminism. So we need to think not about feminism, but about womanism. So we are for the woman, not for femininity and what white women have made feminism to be. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not that woman to be like, power to the women, F men. We don't need them. I'm not saying that. I never said that. What I'm saying is I don't want your money, and that shouldn't be the sole purpose of your existence in my life.
But see, there's a thing because
why should the pandemic have showed women that they need men? I'm confused.
Oh no, I didn't get that one. I feel like the pandemic has done the opposite for most women.
Right, we can do this on our own. But the thing is I can do it on my own. This is the thing I need all y'all men.
They having fun, y'all.
They having a good. That's why I'm like, they finna go crazy in these comments.
You know, I just also feel like it's very stuck in that women
can't do these things themselves. We can only say what
we can. And I'm not here to change people's minds, but I am here to say this. It's this type of thinking, which is why women are running for the hills. This is why
women don't want to get married. Yeah,
married. And
for y'all, because y'all, if y'all married, then y'all want like that.
This is why, and I was hoping that in having these conversations and raising awareness around why there are the single Black females, but I am here to large part because of this and this idea that I have to diminish myself. If God intended for me to be cases where women don't want to get married, doing certain things, I wouldn't have free will, I wouldn't have free thought, I wouldn't have the capacity to think and do certain things that I do. I wouldn't have two hands, I wouldn't have 2 feet, I wouldn't have a brain, I wouldn't be able to think, I wouldn't have any of this stuff. And so God created helpmates for men because they shouldn't have to do it alone, and neither should we. We don't want to do it alone, but we also don't want to feel like the only way we have to not do it alone is to let ourselves down, to devalue, diminish ourselves, to make ourselves less than, to be acceptable and palatable, and to not understand how that fits on the same line of racism. I don't get it. I don't understand it. We talk about racism all the time and about how racism requires for Black people to devalue and diminish themselves, to be less than, etc. But why is that not understood when it comes to the Black woman?
Come on.
Always saying that Black women have to be less than. We are more of a force if I could step in and help when my husband needs it, and vice versa.
Come on.
If I'm tired, I can't pour from an empty cup. I can't.
Y'all know what? That reminds me.
And this really has to stop, or we are never going to get past this. We are never going to have
together, working together.
We are better together.
Then it shouldn't be a them versus us, a man versus woman, or thinking that either one is less, nor a man or a woman is less. We have to get to a place of balance. I saw somebody talking about masculine energy in the chat. Yes, because human beings are both masculine and feminine energy. And once you find your balance and flow throughout both, then we will all be in a more divine space. We're talking about religion and all of that. But can we talk about divine source within yourself? And when you have a divine source within yourself and you balance within yourself, you don't have to diminish or have control over another human being.
Listen, I don't know what scripture y'all know. It wasn't
Taylor.
when women or Eve wanted to be greater than God. Come on, y'all. Okay, go ahead with it. I lost my train of thought. Y'all
All right, yeah.
Go ahead, Taylor.
So the first thing that I want to say to Malek, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You stated that you are not a Christian. So first, I just want to say I'm sorry for that assumption. If you are Muslim, Jewish, or whatever, sorry for making the assumption. And then another thing, like I said earlier, what is you talking about Eve and Adam and Satan and whatever? What does that power does that have against somebody who doesn't, have that same belief as you? That's the first thing that I wanted to say. And then second, like you're talking about, that's Eve's problem. Again, I don't believe in Eve. So I'm sorry. Me personally, like, so you saying all that has nothing. And it goes back to my earlier question, take away, religion, and what else do you have to go off of to
but
debate?
Can we also state this is the same person that said the black family is basically the solution? But if you saying that's Eve's problem, you gonna let your wife just be out here?
Yeah, and then
how
also
is that a black family unit? My bad, sis. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. And then also just to go off about how feminism destroyed America. America is a country that was stolen from the Native Americans and built off of slavery and anti-blackness. So I'm okay with it being destroyed so that we can build up something better. So I'm kind of okay. So you saying like, oh, feminism has destroyed America. Okay, good. And hopefully when it's destroyed, we can work on getting some reparations, giving the indigenous people back some of their land. We can get rid of all of this misogynistic laws. Like, okay, fine.
You know what the beauty of this time in our existence is right now is that it really doesn't matter what men say, because what has happened is the pendulum has swung into the masculine field and now it's swinging back the other way. And so honestly, like, they can say, feel, think however they really want to. At the end of the day, it's our time. It's the age of how does this song go? I forgot. But anyway,
I get your grips up.
Our time. And so they can say, feel, think however they can use whatever religious scriptures, quotes, whoever.
But these are the same backings that racist people use.
Exactly.
They can do that.
Masters. That was the
like
Bible.
There has to be this power source.
The thing is,
someone in control, but we can all live cohesively together by working together.
There's so many men out there who understand the power of women. There's so many men out there. There's so few who actually think this, who actually feel this way. Like, they just don't really talk about it. I wish they would speak up more. But I think it's just like they're like, I don't know where to step in, but they're trying to keep the peace, whatever the deal is. But I am a firm believer that there are way more men, just in experience. Look,
It is. I'm surrounded by those men.
Hello, that's what I was just about to say, sis.
And I just want to say this.
Stuff,
I want to say
playing with the babies,
because I do appreciate that there is a level of respect and acknowledgement for the fact that I am a wife. But also, let me explain. I'm the same wife that I don't mind getting up in the middle of the night and making my man a sandwich if he needs one to eat. And I will get up happily and make that man a grilled cheese. If that's what he needs. But he is also the same man that when I say that I need something for me, that he's going to show up and do that because it feeds my spirit and it feeds my mind. So when I was looking for a bike because I wanted to get more active and I wanted to do it safely and I couldn't find one, that the man that I have rode in here with a bicycle so I can go and do what I need to do for myself. So in him showing up for me like that, if he was to call and tell me he needed anything, I'm going to show up and do it.
But see, that goes to my point I made earlier. If your husband is showing up and showing out for you, then you going to show up for him.
And so I need that to be understood. I'm not trying to be better than him. I don't think that I'm better than him, but he doesn't need to think that he's better than me. And he doesn't need for me to be less than. He likes that I can go to a job and we can get this money together and we can help put ourselves in a different situation. So there are things that and roles that typically men may feel like that's wifely roles that I have such pride and joy in doing. He had a bad day at work. You know what my husband came home to? A peach cobbler.
Come on, cobbler.
Dessert. I know that's what he loves. Okay, you had a bad day. I had a long day. I kind of had a bad day too. But you know what? I know cobbler makes you happy. Let me get in this kitchen. Let me run to the stove because I don't have all the ingredients and make sure that tonight, after you eat your dinner, that you have something that makes you feel good and that's warm to you and to your belly. But this is also the same man that when I said, man, this year has been stressful trying to get these kids through e-learning and trying to get this work done because I work at the same time that they in school and I've been half crazy. I've been running around trying to figure it out. I don't know what to do. And it's the same man that said you need a weekend off. I'm gonna send you for a spa. It's the same man that when I said I wanted to start this web show, when I said I wanted to start it and I didn't believe in myself yet, and I was still saying I'm not worthy yet, that he said, yes, you are. And he came home with equipment to push me. He keeps coming home with equipment to make it better so that it can get better. So, and as he do that, as he continues to show up for me like that, he ain't gonna ask me for nothing. Whether it's he taps this shoulder in the middle of the night and I roll over, or it's that he asked me to do something for him. And so if we're going to talk about me being a wife, I'm going to also talk about the fact of he makes me feel protected emotionally and mentally as well. So if I need to say something or express something or be open about something or demonstrate my flaws, I know he's going to love me despite. And so I love him in that same space. And that's the only reason why we've made it 18 years of knowing each other, 16 years together, and 9 married, is by doing that. And I have to constantly reevaluate where I can be better. And he constantly reevaluates where he can be better. And it's not that you don't have to listen to me because you're the man, and I don't have to listen to you because you ain't in control of me. We meet each other where we are and we help each other. And that's what I want to see happen for everybody, whether it's you are married to a man, woman, like whoever it is. I want you to be in a space where you are getting what you need to survive, and we loving each other authentically, and we're loving each other healthily. And that's it. And that's what I want to see. That's the whole point of this conversation today, is trying to figure out how we can get there.
To the single, bring it back to the single women. So I know we have examples of different types of thought here in this conversation in the chat. There's examples of different type of thought. There's different type of thoughts within us here on the screen. And there are women in different pockets, as Taylor so eloquently stated at the beginning of the show. They are single for different reasons. But what I feel with all of those women, the common thread is for the ones that are seeking some type of relationship or marriage in their life, because there's some that don't want it, and that's their prerogative. They can live their best life. The ones who are seeking, the thing is that everybody is different. And we've said this. We all want different things. So for the men who are in the chat and you are particular, you have the right to be particular. That's your life. You live it. And if you found a woman that is in that lane with you, congratulations. I wish y'all nothing but happiness. But there's another percentage of women who would like to have a partner, to not only be a helpmate, but to have a helpmate, someone to truly protect and provide for them mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. And what I want to leave women knowing, any single women who may be watching this or will watch this later, is that you can find that person for you, because everybody's non-negotiable standard perspective mindsets clearly are different. So do not settle for something that you do not want. Believe that your person, the person that you are meant to be with, is out there for you. So if you want to be kept and don't want to work and want to stay in the house and, you know, whatever it is for you, then you get that, girl. If you want to work and you want to be out here and you want to, you know, have your kids and your husband and still rule the world, then you do that, girl. What if you want to be someone in the middle? Whatever your thing is, make sure that you find someone that's going to match that for you. So again, for the fellas who, you know, have their different perspective, if you find women that's down for that, then that's beautiful. But you can't knock women who want something different. And you can't knock men who give them that something different. Everybody is different. And we have to understand and accept that. Whether it be a different religion, a different mindset, or wanting something different from their partner. And there's enough people who are different, just like you're kind of different. Okay? So go ahead, then.
Yeah, she like, I want to ask a quick question.
That's the word.
And then I'm gonna let Dion step in. Hold on, but let me answer this really quick question. It was like asking me to testify for why I need my husband.
You did that.
It's not because I need him to pay my bills. It's great that he is the breadwinner and he does pay the bills, but I also know that I'm capable of making money as well to provide should I need to. And what we also need to understand, and why it's important for women to be able to be capable of doing that, because unfortunately there are many widows out in the world that don't have their husbands here, not because they left them, but because they left them and they're not here. They're not in the present anymore. And so they have to be able to survive and still provide for their children in the event of. Now, of course, he should have things in place where monetarily it will help, but then she's all by herself at that point, right? So then she needs to be able to provide for their children, their offspring. But I need my husband for a lot of things, and I tell him all the time I need him. But I don't need him to breathe. I don't need him to eat. I don't need him to live, but I damn sure need him. And I look for him to come home every day.
Expressed that already, sis. Actually, while he was writing that, you were testifying as he typed. You were testifying on all the reasons and ways that man shows up to support you and protect you, and you need that. He helps your sanity, and that's the thing that I really want people to get from this, is that with single women, and no, for me personally, I'm gonna speak for myself. I'm a boss. Like I'm building legacies. You look, Dion, like I as well. I'm a boss. I'm building legacies. I'm building institutions. I'm working. I'm making my own money. I'm organizing business. Like I do a lot, but that does not mean I don't need a man. But what I do need is a man who's going to be comfortable with me being holistically myself, with the gifts that I was given, to make sure I give it to the world the best way possible. What I need is that. And what I need is someone to love and to love me, to support and to support me, to help and to help me. I need that. I'm a boss by myself, but together we can be a force. I always say I'm the plug, but me and my man together need to be a power strip. Like, and that's again, if that's not your type of woman, then that's totally fine. Yeah, everybody ain't for everybody, but that is the type of man that I am waiting for, and I'm a be single.
And I'm here to tell you, there's a man out there that's what they are looking for. There's men that require those
to take care of.
And that's what I was trying to. I want to power. Tag me in, tag. Okay. Tag. Okay, so that's what I wanted to get into. Like, it's not like we can't, as I said before, it's not like we're choosing to be single because don't nobody want to be with us. Because I swear to you, any of us here, I mean, of course,
my DMs.
She like that DM right now.
Look, if we really wanted this, if we didn't want to be single, we could figure that out real quick. But the thing is, we don't want any old drip drops dropping on us. It's raining in. It's raining in. Hallelujah. It's raining in. It's literally raining in. And we don't have to, we got to kind of dodge the raindrops because we don't want all the raindrops hitting us in our head.
All rain ain't good rain.
I got hit by the raindrops and I'm over it. I got an umbrella now because I don't need none of that in my life. The man that is going to come in my life has to meet a certain standard. And so in order for me, okay, great. There's a place in which I will submit, right? They say women's supposed to submit to men.
Oh, baby, I'm waiting.
There's a place. I'm willing, more than willing. This is true, but he has to understand that I'm not just the average. I don't want average. Ain't nothing average about me. There's nothing average about me. And so I can't have an average. You be on a little dating apps like average. Reading the stuff they into, like your face look average. The face you making is average. Like you're not even putting a little extra oomph into the expression on your face. Like I need something more than, and that's the life you live. Or you sit in there with your liquor bottle, or all you do is go to work and come home. That's a real complaint. I'm sorry. Like you need to be doing more with your life. How are you giving back to the community?
And that's
How
okay.
are you doing things? What are you doing with yourself? If you are not here, in fact, I'm gonna need you up here because I'm constantly evolving and changing, and I'm gonna need to not be on the same level as you, because when I go here, if you ain't following, then you're gonna get left behind, and then we gonna be single again. So I'm gonna need you to just, the type of person that I'm choosing to be single for right now definitely exists in the world. He may or may not be in Chicago. I don't know. He may be here. Who knows? Chicago is an international city. What I'm getting at is we don't choose single womanhood because we can't get men. That's not an issue. No. We don't choose single womanhood because we can't submit. That's not an issue. We choose single womanhood because until we meet the person that's going to be the helpmate that we need, until we meet the person that's ready to evolve, until we meet the person that's ready to move on from being an individual and move forward and being a team and working as a unit, right? My ex-husband didn't want to tell me how much money he made. I'm sorry. Hold up. Wait. Time out. You said what now? We're trying to invest in our future, and you don't want to tell me how much money you make. So
he want to know how much money you were bringing in?
I mean, no, I was willing to tell him. He didn't ask. I'll say that. It's not like
how is that a union?
But it was like we're coming together to build. I kind of feel like we should know. Oh, I can't talk to that man no more.
He's trolling at this point.
We already covered
Kevin Samuels, and we already
I told him in the chat I can't take him seriously no more.
Nah, we done.
At this point, it's really to just
He's giving us something to talk about.
That's it. That's all.
We appreciate you, bro.
That's
right. He gave us a show.
He did, and there is some people that may actually feel the way he feels, and that's okay. That is perfectly okay. And as he stated, he's married, so his wife is in alignment with that. So I'm sure everything.
Yeah, he let her out the house.
I saw that comment. I wasn't gonna say that.
You let the dog.
I was contemplating if I needed to call the people.
Yeah, that's like borderline abusive. Like what you mean?
We said we overinflate our worth. No, y'all just don't know how much we've been giving it away too easy, so that y'all think we not worth what we worth. Sorry, baby, we worth more than what you.
No, it's the fact that we know now, and we're standing on it.
Because you don't understand, we raise the children at the end of the day. Your kids
not only raise the children, we birth the children. When you acknowledge that a woman is amazing, because we literally birth the nation, then we rear them, we feed them from our bodies, period. If we say nothing else, that alone, you should be ready to honor your woman.
Come on, you should be all praises to the Most High. This woman is so amazing. All praises to the Most High.
So if we're gonna be real 100, I was trying not to go there, but if we're gonna be real 100, if you really understood universe and know that we are a portal to this plane of existence,
literally, we are the
plane of existence, you should be honoring us just off that. Yes,
and not just honoring your wife, honoring any woman you come in contact with, not just your wife.
But the thing is, again, going back to balance, we should be honoring each other. There should be no "I'm greater than" and that's divisive. And it's been used,
and a lot of it comes from trauma. A lot of it comes from trauma. And I need that to be understood here. a lot of why we're not getting along, a lot of why we're not on the same plane is because just as much as there are some abusive men, there have been some very abusive women. I have seen lots and lots of abusive women tearing down and abusing men, black men. Now, I didn't even look at this. What did he say? Y'all doing a bad
look. I just see the pop up and I just go the other way.
I'm not taking him seriously. It's noise at this point. It's noise.
He's trolling and he knows it. And he knows he trolled. John, cut it out. You trolling and stop the madness.
But see, the thing is, though, it's like, honestly, I want to agree with him for a second. Listen, because men have always been on that other. I told y'all I love y'all. This not a bashing. It's just facts. We can look at it.
And this shouldn't be a woman bashing session.
And this ain't a woman bashing session.
I had a couple bashings in here. Mostly just two people. Coming in and bashing.
Or a woman bashing thing. Because again, we need balance and we need each other to truly thrive. Not just survive, because we've been doing that, but to thrive at life, we need balance and we need each other. All right. But this is the thing. Check it. Men have been stepping out since the beginning of stepping out. All right.
Yeah.
We've already talked about how granddaddy had multiple families. All right. We've talked about this thing. Women held it down. Period. Whether they were single or basically single with a husband, as far as responsibilities and stuff being concerned, women have been holding it down. I guess that's the man who said he not a helpmate. He just bring in the money and think that's enough. All right. So there's that. But then this is where I feel like that he mentioned the children of today. Women at some point was like, if y'all get to stop and lack on responsibilities, I feel like I can too. And I feel to a certain extent that is kind of what's going on with the children today. But to be honest, we have to come together, heal from these generational traumas, forgive the whole race of people, men, women, because some people mad at every man and some men mad at every woman because what their mama did to them. Okay. Mm-hmm. We need to heal, forgive, and move forward, because if we keep living off these traumas and never healing from it, we ain't gonna never be to a place where we can see eye to eye, love each other for who we are, blend our gifts and our talents that we both have to really truly make a better tomorrow and today. So that's my speech. We do better. Heal. Work on healing yourself and know that no one is greater than someone else. We both have different traits and characteristics that complement each other. So why not complement each other?
Healing and that's where it starts, when we start to recognize our worth. And that's why, like, we can laugh and joke with Melik and whoever else comes on and talk, because we understand our value. Mm-hmm. And so as women, once we start to say, you know what? Let me say, this is me. My cup is full. I am so divine and my energy is way bigger than any terrestrial being on this plane of existence, any earthling, when we understand our true power, because honestly, just by having a womb, whether someone passes through it or not, just having a womb, you are connected to the universe in a way that no one can be. Mm-hmm. There's literally a gate. I've seen it. Literally a gate that lives within us. And until people understand that, we have to start worshiping that the holders of the gate, we have to, and not worship as in like we worship Jesus or we worship whoever else, right? But literally, like, understanding the value of the gate holder. Mm-hmm. Then we can start building, and then we can start understanding, and then we can start opening up, and we can pour. And women are doing a great job right now of self-care, which is why men are having a hard time, because they're not. Yeah. They see us
putting up with the bullshit as much anymore.
Yeah, and men
and they don't understand. Why won't you deal with my same stuff that I've been throwing at you for the last however many years? So we carry life in our testicle shows. You discard that life every time you ejaculate.
Your job is like 5 to 15 seconds. Our job can be up to 9 months.
And honestly, it's only a 30% chance, honestly, of a healthy womb that sperm is going to find that egg.
Yeah.
So 30% chance that
and science has just figured out that the sperm doesn't fight into the egg, and the story they've been telling us for years, the woman actually chooses the sperm and lets that sperm in. So still us.
But you deserve the gate. You need to start showing some respect. Put some respect on our name, okay? Respect us.
On our name. And then also speaking to the children aspect again, is if that woman is protected, cared for, provided for during the pregnancy, after the pregnancy, before the pregnancy, then also there's a higher chance that woman is going to be less stressed, provided for mentally, again, spiritually and physically, so she can be a better mother and not stressed out and out here on her own fending the wolves. Yeah, so that's another thing too.
Yeah, because a woman, while she's pregnant, the less stressed she is, that can save not just the baby's life, but also her life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The less stress. That's why, right? And my opinion on the matter may change, but as of right now, a standard that I have is that when I'm with somebody and I marry him, the second I find out I'm pregnant, work is now an option, not a requirement. That is a standard.
That's real.
Work is an option. If I don't want to work, if I feel like I'm too stressed out, then
you need to figure it out.
What happens next year?
Also, if you're unhealthy, your baby will be unhealthy. And when we talk about health, we talk about mental and emotional health as well. But, it's more than making sure that your baby comes out physically healthy. They need to come out mentally and emotionally healthy as well. So if all of this negative energy is inside of your wife or the mother of your child, that is going to be passed down. Because truth be told, is most of the trauma that we have is generational and it's passed down in the blood. It's in the DNA. And so we need to also be very aware of that. And so here's what my issue is. You cannot expect for women to see your value and respect your value if you struggle to see and respect theirs. And nobody that is of sane mind and understanding is going to commit themselves to being feeling less than. They're not going to commit to that. And if you can't respect the woman that you want to be married to, the woman that has your children, then you not do respect just because you have a penis.
Yeah, you having a thing.
You're not. And I like to imagine that.
I think it goes like that, doesn't it?
That you have a wife is because you were able to demonstrate to your wife in some way that there was a benefit in her being married to you. You demonstrated that in some way. In some way, you showed her that there's a benefit in you two being together and you being married together. And in some way, you felt that she brought benefit to your life as well. And until we start acknowledging the benefit on both behalves, we're never going to get anywhere. Nothing's ever going to change. And as long as you're pointing the finger at us, there's always 3 pointing back at you. There's always 3 at you. So you have to hold yourself accountable too. Like, I don't know any sane person that would commit themselves to feeling uncared for, unrespected, or disrespected, unloved properly, and in a healthy situation just for the sake of saying they're married. Because truth be told, that's why a lot of divorce happens too. There's a whole lot of people that got married because they were excited about the wedding and didn't have any idea what the marriage was involved and what that meant to be married. And there are a lot of women that tried to go in it with the understanding and respect for having, a marriage, and decided like that person is not on the same page and I need to run away. I need to run away because they are not living up to their end of the bargain. We both have responsibilities. We both should be bringing value to the table. We both should be meeting each other where they are. We both should be helping each other. And if you feel triggered by the word helpmate, let's try partnership. Let's try
50, 50. And if not 50-50, we also have to understand that people are going to fall short, and sometimes it's going to be 60-40 and vice versa. But you should not, one person in the relationship should not be bearing the brunt of everything majority of the time.
Agreed.
A partnership, 2 people are working together for a greater good. Period. And if we can't work together for a greater good, then what are we doing? And I think that's the thing that we have to understand and realize. Helpmate, I don't understand why that's iffy, But if it is, I think partnership is a perfect term to use because again, it's two people working together for the greater good. Simple.
Just to break down that the helpmate thing, it sounds to me, some men, they can't, certain terminologies is like they just can't. No, helpmate, huh? You mean I'm your maid? That's what I could feel.
But that's not what that is.
I know. That's not what we mean by it.
Right? Every human being and sometimes animals
submit and obey. Oh God.
Just saying that all he has to plead his case is like selective scripture. Just ignore him.
I'm all for it. Look, the crazy thing is I'm all for submitting.
I'm waiting. You have to understand that if you want somebody to submit, you got to give them something to submit to. I said it and I'll say it again. I am willing and ready for a man who can offer everything that he needs to be a husband for me to submit fully to. But understand, I'm not submitting to someone who has not earned that submission.
Look, what we say earlier, we started this years ago. We started our careers in the mail room, and now we moving on up. And the men that was coming for us then couldn't even get in the bed. How you gonna hate from outside of the club? You can't even get in. They're not even in the building. So y'all have to understand. I need an executive or a higher, because even if I'm not there yet, I'm going to be. In fact, wait a minute, Natalie, we are. I forgot. So we are actually CEOs. My bad.
Yes, you are.
Speak on it. And that's the thing. And for women who need that reinforcement that there are different thinking men out there.
I am my boss, Jeannie West. I'm sorry. Hold up. He said I submit to my boss. I am my boss. I told my boss what I was going to do at my job. I told her. She said,
listen, I'm going to be honest. I'd be surprised most time I'm still employed. I'd be surprised I'm still employed sometimes, because I'm not going to let anybody devalue and diminish me.
But you can't pay me enough. You were not.
They're having a lot of fun with us. We need to
bosses and men, and y'all might take this wrong, go crazy in the comments if y'all want to. Bosses and men are one and the same. Listen to this. This is why. When you look at it this way, I'm not going to let a person who pays my salary tell me what to do or treat me lesser than I need to be treated. And I'm not going to let a man do the same thing either. But to be 100%, come on, CEO, President CEO.
Yes.
Pull up the facts. Taylor, like, I got the card facts. Let me show you these receipts. Come on, show them receipts, Taylor. But that's
actually, Melik, yes, I do.
I'm not going to let women do it either. And men, you should be the same.
Know how to garden.
We're not going to let men, women, bosses, employees, nobody treat us lesser than we need to be treated. And
Melik, I'm actually great at survival. I've camped out and done all that good stuff. I'm actually really good at finding medicine in the woods and living.
What are we talking about now?
He said we don't know when the world ends.
It says when the grid goes off. So, when things shut down and there's the war.
I know how to start fires. Oh, I love
how are you going to survive if you're going to be able to survive without men? And
but see, that's the thing. We're not saying we don't need a man. We're saying we need the right man for us. We're saying
they don't want to hear that, sis. We just got to submit to what they say. So let's
they don't like black women having standards.
He can feel better about himself.
No, I don't do that.
You said, Melik, all of that.
No, I don't do that.
Black
Look,
women having
I need
standards.
my man. When he finds me, best believe he gonna be taken care of. Period. Okay.
Okay. So I wanna cut in only because we've reached the 10 o'clock mark, and yes, we are at the 10 o'clock.
Sometimes when you're having fun.
I need to end this because this is not how I want it to go. So I don't want. Here's the thing. I don't want to meet this negative energy. And I feel like in some ways, these comments have proved exactly what I was saying.
Of why women are still single.
Of why they're still single. And I'm a bit sad because, it feels at times that because we're not listening to each other, that there's no hope. Because I would love for women that choose and would love to be not single to have those people, because Wow, ain't nothing perfect under the sun. So I need to keep reiterating that. I in no way, shape, form, or fashion have a perfect marriage. I don't have a perfect husband. I'm not a perfect wife. Where we are is that we're both committed to being better people. And we see that our best benefit is being better people for each other and with each other and for our children, if we're going to do it for anybody else. And so I don't want this to be a bash fest on re-emphasizing or reiterating or reinforcing these myths that women are the reason why they're single, because a lot of women are choosing to be single. And I was hoping to get to a point where they could choose to maybe be open to doing something different, but y'all ain't helping here with this obey, and I'm not nobody's lapdog. I'm not a puppy. Now, there are some times when my husband has spoken, and if he got a point, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna shut up.
That's sexy, actually. I will that to you. But you
Man, if you can convince me,
it's been some
looking now.
It's been
just like washing the dish, baby. You want to wash the dish?
It's been some times now. This man done spoken, and I've been like, okay, he mean business. I'm gonna sit down and be quiet. But there's also been times when I have spoken and I didn't necessarily speak and talk down to him either. But there are times when I've spoken about something and he's been like, baby, you got a point. You right. I hear what you're saying.
Things should be
I respect
open-minded and listening to each other so that you can aid each other where you need aid. You can calm down and listen to the other person if they're making the best decision for the household at that moment. Again, that's that balance and that teamwork.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so my point of having this conversation tonight was in hopes of single women being able to express why they're being single, in hopes of finding a bridge where we can be a village, whether we're marrying each other in that village or just being co-partners, like we're helping each other and we're doing all of these things together. And so I was hoping that this conversation would facilitate that and a different understanding. But it's not helpful when we have people kinds of reinforcing those same hurtful and traumatic ideologies. And it's furthering just proving the point of why women, there's a lot of women that's going to watch these comments and say, this is why I don't want to be bothered. They're going to say, this is why I would
single by choice.
There's a lot of women that say, I'd rather die.
I'd rather be alone.
Because one of the things you said up front was that freedom was one of the biggest reasons. And some ladies in the comments said it too, that freedom is one of the biggest reasons why they're single. They want freedom. And what you're saying is bondage. But I do want women to know that there, again, just to reiterate before we leave, there is the person for you that is out there that's going to love you, headstrong, powerful, meek, whatever you are. They're going to love you for you. Your non-negotiables, they're going to meet you right there at them. And we have to have these conversations before we get into relationships with people, because we need to see who these people are and if their ideals match with yours. And if they do not, politely move around, because you can find what you're looking for. And the man who's going to love you, or the woman, whatever you like, that's going to love you for you.
All right, I'm gonna cut y'all comments off now, because now y'all are getting
disrespectful.
I
just want to say this about marriage, just so y'all know, it is in the way that it is set up now, as it is now. It is a legal construct, right? Mm-hmm. Back in the day, in Bible times, if you read the Bible,
wait, hold on now. I'm sorry, Dion. Who you calling a simp, Gavin? Because I hope you ain't talking about my husband on here.
No, I think he's talking about his friend Melik. I think he was talking about his friend Melik. So I just want to say,
I don't think he was talking about him.
That's what we gonna say.
I just, anytime I see a simp laugh out loud, that kind of raise my.
No, I think he's talking about the type of man who's gonna be able to be with a woman like us, who will have the pleasure to being our
the blessing. Men be like, I just feel so blessed to be in your presence.
Honor and obey, the honor to be my husband, because that's.
I just got a text saying I would be honored to hear. Okay, look,
that's the story.
Marriage has historically, in Bible times. Okay, if you read the Bible, It says
That's
multiple times how marriage was used to bring families together for legal reasons so that we can have more land in this area, whatever. We combining stuff. We're bringing stuff together. And so that's what marriage has been historically, what it continues to be, a bringing together of legal binding material things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can take that how you will. Some people say marriage is just a contract. Here's what I'm here to say. I will, if you know, I am to go by the terms of marriage in y'all terms, I will not get married because I just, there's a certain lifestyle that I prefer to live, and it includes, like many people said, having freedom, you know, having the ability to manage. Y'all think and feel how life is for you, or those who think and feel that women should obey and submit, and it just be like that, blah, 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 blah. It's outdated. I'm sorry. The pendulum has swung and now it's going back the other way. And the reason why our society is where it is because women let men run shit for too long. And now y'all can have that shit that y'all done created over there. We don't want it no more. No, thank you. No, thank you. We're actually going to swing this way. As the energy flows in the universe, it ebbs and flows. Only thing constant is change. While you guys are staying constant with your rigid ways of thought of what marriage and partnership looks like, you can have that. Understand that those constructs will slowly break down, because that is the only constant, is that things will change. And fortunately, we are blessed to be Black women and to have the mindset, the skill set, and everything we need to succeed with or without a man. Our goal is to work in partnership with our life partners. And that man is nearby, for sure. He's always close by in spirit, and therefore will be close by physically. That man will be able to submit to us. How about that? And be able to praise who and what we are. How about that? So that we can return the favor. I'm more than willing to be that person that get up in the middle of the night and make some, what'd you say you made? Some popcorn? I don't know.
I make sandwiches, honey. I make
If you do what you need to do, I'm gonna make you whatever you want to make. I'm gonna be making gourmet meals at 4 a.m.
Guess what? I'm gonna want a sandwich too sometimes.
Okay? I like, I had already attested to the fact that,
especially if you just did what you needed to
do. I used to get up at 5:30 in the morning and pick my niece up and then come home and cook like, a full meal for him before he left. And I love doing that. Like, I love doing that for him because I need to see my husband happy. I want to see him happy just like he wants to see me happy. And because we're operating in that place, that's what works. That's what's work. I don't feel less than. I don't feel that, okay, so now I'm going to really, hey, John, enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Now we get to Dwayne Wade. Where did he come from?
So, it's, again, this is just more and more emphasizing on the point of why we are where we are. And until somebody is willing to listen, until somebody is willing to cross the bridge, we're going to get further and further apart. It's going to get worse and worse. We're not going to have a community. Our numbers are going to diminish. They're already saying that, birth rates are going down. And that's because people are making different decisions because they would rather be in a different space. And so until people start listening to how we can serve each other, not just we serve
other
one person, until we can serve each other and make a better place for our children, this is going to be a continuing generational trauma that we're going to.
I also want to add, if we could just think about why we align and take wholeheartedly the things to heart that we do. Why are these things of controlling a woman so important to you? What happened in your life that made this such a thing. I mean, for anybody and everybody who watches this, whatever you align yourself with, if you could just think about why is that important to you? Why is you so hell bent on it? And that will help you heal. That will, or at least solidify you even more so when you're grounded. But if we could really think about why these things are important to us, because I feel like for me, I'm more aligned with living a peaceful, happy life. I'm wholeheartedly okay with everybody doing whatever they want to do as long as they ain't hurting nobody else. Live your best life, whatever that is for you. But the same thing, we compared it to racism before. It's the same energy that's being put out. You hell bent on somebody being lesser because they skin color. You hell bent on someone being lesser because they're a woman. You're hell bent, and there's a whole lot of other hell bents. You hell bent on somebody going to hell because they gay. You hell bent on whatever it may be. But why do you align yourself with these ideals? What makes them drill themselves in your mind, your spirit, and your heart? I feel like we should just be aligned with, again, going into self, figuring out who you truly are and what you truly want, and letting everybody else live their best life based on their life. If you're not hurting nobody else, why are we so hell-bent on these things? Peace.
I really think what it comes down to, and until we recognize that a lot of this anger towards each other stems from trauma. A lot of Black women don't want to be bothered with Black men because of trauma, and a lot of Black men are afraid to let women have too much control or power because they've seen how some women have taken advantage of that. There are some Black women that abuse men. And when we talk about abuse men, we're not talking about just beating up on men, but we're talking about abusing their spirit. We're talking about abusing their mental. We're talking about abusing their trust. And so that does happen. We're not going to have this ideology that women never do those things. And unfortunately, there's a lot more women than we care to admit that do things like that. I've seen it. I've seen women that are mothers to sons breathe negativity into their children, into their sons. And because they're dealing with a trauma and a pain from a past man, from that child's father or their own fathers or their grandfathers or just other men. And so there are very many times where there are men that have seen, witnessed, or have been victims of that type of abuse. And so what that has did is then make them hate Black women because all they can see is their abuser. But if you don't want us to look at you as being the abuser
with that same energy,
you have to meet us at that same energy. And until we start listening to each other, until we start healing from where that pain has come from, this is what's going to be. This is what's going to happen. We're going to continue to see more and more single Black females that are choosing, because not all Black women are single because they don't have an option. Women have options. I know several, like so many women that could be married for the sake of being married and say they got a husband if they really wanted to. But because they're not looking at marriage as just something to be had or to validate their existence, they're looking at marriage to be an additive to their existence. They're not willing to just jump into something for the sake of that. So I think that, we are well past the hour. I want to thank all of those that are here with us at this point. I really hope that despite some of these comments that somewhere, someplace, there was some understanding that happened in this conversation where some men were listening and saying, you know what, I want to provide a real in-depth, detailed understanding of how I want to protect and provide in a way that's safe, loving, and healthy for a wife. And I'm willing to show up and be what that means. So I'm hoping that happens. And I'm hoping that there are some positive things that came from this. Thank you, Zandria. Zandria said, great conversation, ladies. I appreciate you. And so join us next week. Hell, I was hoping to have the men's perspective on this. But these men,
I mean, we got some, but they're not the whole picture for sure.
They don't speak for all men. They don't speak for all men. They may speak for some, but they don't speak for all. So, I definitely would like to have the part to single black men, because there are some single black men out there that do aspire to be married and want to be married, and I want to talk about what it is that their hangups are and where they're having trouble with finding that mate and getting to that.
This is the last thing I'm gonna say, because I know you're trying to close out, and I just can't. We had a very interesting conversation at my job about white supremacy, and it's just so it's so interesting how this what is it called? I can't think of the word right now. It's because it's late, but how the misogyny has stemmed from supremacy, and how specifically in America, Black men have a specific brand of misogyny because of the trauma of slavery and because of the trauma of constantly being in fear of their lives. So of course they want people to submit. They don't feel like they ever had any power. They watch their women being raped in front of them. They watch their children being taken from, they watch their brothers being raped. Like they saw so much and was traumatized to the core. And these men don't understand that those cells still live within them, and that they're still living out that trauma by trying to get people to submit and get people to make them feel valuable. But y'all are very valuable.
Yep, postpartum. Joy to grind.
Y'all are beautiful.
But here's the thing, necessary. The piggyback off that, we women dealt with that too. We watched our sons.
Oh yeah,
we watched our husbands. We watched our brothers and our fathers get
our daughters
taken away. Our daughters, we had to bear children. Not from our husbands. How many times did Black slave women have to have their masters' children, but were married? They had husbands on the plantation, but they were pregnant with their masters' children.
Or not even their masters. They were like given to the overseer as a reward.
Given to the overseer.
Or two masters wanted a certain type of slave, so they would take a slave regardless of their marital status from one plantation, and then another slave from another plantation, so that they could get that specific type of slave they wanted.
Selective breeding is a part of natural selection.
I was drawing a blank on the name.
So we have so much trauma to live through, and that people are fighting through, and that's what these men are playing out in their lives, feeling like they need someone to submit, feeling like they need all these things to experience power, because they've had their cells literally are begging for it. And so they're trying to find ways to get it. And so I understand why y'all feel the way y'all feel and why y'all want particular relationships. It makes total sense to me. I'm not a dummy. I'm very uneducated, and I very much so understand why y'all feel the way y'all feel. And that's why most likely, like for women like us, it's probably more feasible for us to look outside of America for partnership because of the trauma. It's really hard for y'all to get through this. Y'all not doing the self-care that's necessary. Y'all not getting therapy. Y'all not talking to the people y'all need to talk to. You're not working through your problems.
We're not gonna say like y'all isn't all.
No. This is for specifically GD West. And
let me call him out, not point him out, knock him out.
Melik. These are specifically for the men who are responding the way they are responding, and any man that identifies with them. That's what I'm talking about.
There we go. Because the Roberts of the world. Okay.
Robert, up there like, would y'all shut up? That's what we need. We need men to be like, that's a real protector right there. Shut up, dude. She needs space. Okay, hold up. Wait, let me get on all fours. So she got a place to sit. That's what happened with Queen Nzinga. Oh, wait, we're going to marry her so we can go over to her country and take it back from the Portuguese, because that's how she used marriage. It was a tactical skill. Okay, I'm just trying to tell y'all think that women need to submit and give y'all all their power, but honestly, y'all need to pour into the women so that they can actually give you all of the power.
I keep saying that women and men have different skill sets. Women's skill sets is to multiply. That is our skill set. So if you are smart and intelligent, you will foster her assets because she will always make you better. If you choose the right wife, she will make you better. So pour into her, not try to belittle her, and you'll come out happier in the end. And again, Shantae, we're gonna let you close out, Shantae. I promise.
I know, but I also wanted to say that Russell's point of
men know that the man for you is out there, and these men do not represent the whole. I just want to reiterate that single women, you can find what's meant for you.
Okay, we're gonna close out for real, but I also wanted to pay special attention to Russia's comment because I need to close on this. A lot of Black women are single because they feel that they need protection from Black men.
Absolutely.
And I said that earlier in the conversation that you can't provide protection for me against yourself. If I'm not safe with you, it doesn't matter who else is out there because you're just the one and the same. And so a big thing is that Black women feel that they need protection from Black men. They don't feel safe with Black men. What are Black men going to do to change that? How are you going to show up to show Black women that they are safe with you? Because these words are not going to cut it. What you're saying in these comments are not going to do it. If you're saying that Black women need to submit so that they can have that protection and provision, how are you going to demonstrate and prove that that's a benefit and that you can provide those things for them? That you're the one that can do it? Because once upon a time, you had to pay a dowry to have a wife. You had to pay her family to have a wife. You had to show up to because the wife was
and go through tests to be able to prove
that you were worthy of this woman and to have this woman. And so, that I'm just wondering with that. But I also want to tell every Black woman, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're trying to figure it out, that no matter where you are, it's okay to demand more. You are worthy of more. It's okay to have a standard. It's okay to look for someone to meet that standard. It's okay to not be perfect. And it's also super important to recognize that that person may not be perfect. But until you're ready to not be a single Black female anymore, you're fine just the way you are. You'll get there if that's so what your choice is. And I hope that this helped somebody feel some sort of building. I don't know, because this conversation went left this evening.
It was a lot. But also on the point of being realistic, one of the brothers in the comments said this, and I think that's an important thing too. Don't expect something from a man or a mate, period, no matter what you like or going for, that you cannot bring, or that you are not showing up as yourself. I think that is a very important point on talking about realistic. If you're asking someone to be a good listener, then you have to listen. If you're asking someone to be a good communicator, then you have to be a good communicator. And that's why I think it's so honorable what Taylor is doing and her point on why she is still single, because she is working on herself. And I think a lot of people need to stay single and work on themselves before they get into another relationship. So that is very honorable. So I just wanted to make that point too.
Well, I want to thank all of you, or you two ladies, because this was me and Nat be every Wednesday.
Oh, we're gonna talk.
We gonna talk. But I want to thank Taylor and Dion for coming on and sharing their perspective. It was super powerful, super impactful, and just thank y'all for being here tonight. Despite some of the comments, I know that could have been frustrating, but I also think y'all handled yourself with such poise, such grace, such intelligence, right? Yes. And I'm here for it. I love it, and I want to thank everybody, no matter what their contribution was tonight, for showing up and watching us.
Yes, thank y'all. We appreciate y'all.
We appreciate y'all. We're gonna be back here same time next Wednesday. And we're going to be hopefully hearing it from a man's perspective without bashing the women, because this wasn't supposed to be a man bashing session at all.
I don't think we bashed men in this session.
I mean, the women. This was supposed to be a woman or a man bashing session. So I'm hoping that next week, we kind of have a different energy. But
we bash particular men. I'm kidding.
See y'all.